Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee. This is Reef Explained. Today we're going to go through some of the things that people do not tell you about when starting this hobby. Things you've overlooked if you're a newbie, if you're buying a tank, if you're just getting back into the hobby, and all of those things above where it's just a headache. So first off, you obviously going to get the tank. And most of these tanks will come with either maybe a heater or a pump, maybe the lighting, the stand usually. You may get the sump if it's one that's been done, or an all-in-one system, which is a bit like this Red Sea E-260. So very similar to the 250. It's a little bit more volume in the display. Plus it's got this weir here where you can hide all kind of equipment in the back for the all-in-one. So the all-in-one would be a basket, a heater for media for the basket. You could have a the skimmer would be in this section, and you can have a little reactor or something else in here. But as you can see, mine's just basically running for the sump. So we've got an emergency main drain there in the middle. We've got an emergency drain that's trickling in. That's how I keep the steady flow downstairs, so to speak, so that the ATO is level. Without that, I've really struggled, so that's my only concern. But this is running at a certain percentage and it never has been a problem, so we're all good. Got the fan clipped on the top because this one won't fit in the sump with all the other equipment now, so it's on the top and it's connected to the controller. We have the Red Sea thermal view on display so that I can always keep an eye. I don't have to change batteries. It's done by a probe that's in the rear of the display, so it's for the tank temperature for this one, and that gives me a good indication of where I'm at all the time. So just on that aspect, when you're picking your reef, obviously try and plan as much as possible, and then plan more. Make a list of things that you need, and some of these things you can put in list 1 that you'll need straight off the bat, and then list 2 which will be for things in the future. So for instance, UV sterilizer, most likely a doser for elements you won't need straight away, and possibly even a protein skimmer you won't need straight away. The main things you're going to need straight away are flow pumps, return pump if you're running a sump, the lighting, and a heater, and some sort of controller for that, just because heaters are notorious for getting stuck on. And the other thing you're going to need right off the bat is an ATO system, or a reservoir, but you're going to need an ATO. Usually the Red Sea ones will come with a stock float valve. Personally, I didn't use it. I just wanted to use a level sensor like an eye. Probably the float valve would probably seize over time, will need more maintenance, more cleaning, but they're probably more reliable on the fact that they probably rarely go wrong or get stuck on, obviously. So that's one good thing about them. So when we go to the equipment and everything downstairs, I'll just run you through. One of the main things that became apparent even on this build was power sockets. So as you can see, I've got my 8 power sockets here connected off one side. I'm using the Red Sea stock that came with it. It's got a bunch of, we've got like 7 switches there that you can plug heaters in. They're all marked up as stock. So if you get the all-in-one, you've got the skimmer on number 1, you've got the 2 return internal flow pumps that I've removed, only because I found them a little bit noisy after a while. They kept vibrating against the glass. They needed a lot of maintenance and cleaning. Taking them out, getting out was a nightmare. I think it was skimmer, protein skimmer. This was spare, heater and lights. Lights are connected on here and a reactor's connected on here, and that's it. I'm not using anything else for that because they're two prong for the power supply. We've got another one up the top which is just running the thermal view and the doser, sorry, get my words out today. So one main thing is power sockets. You're going to need at least, well, depending on what you're running, but I found that you need at least between 10 and 12 sockets. And I'm doing easily that. I'm running 8 off here. These 2 at the moment are unplugged because the UV needs a new pump, so I've unplugged it. So that we're running 8 here. We've got another 2 there, that's 10. And we've got another 2 off another socket that's just running some simple equipment, but nothing major. All the other stuff is running off here. So power sockets are one thing that I've noticed, and cable management is another. Whether you're fussed about that or not, you're going to either need to hide the cables if you're bothered about it. Me, I'm not so much down in the sump. I think it's just a mechanical filtration room. That's what I would class it as, really. It's a means to an end. And then the second thing is where you're going to put all your modules. So each time you buy a new piece of equipment, you've got protein skimmer, you've got return pump, you've got controller. Got another controller behind here for the thermal control by Reef Factory, Red Sea Reef Wave 25 pump, another pump, another power wave maker inside Jacob. What else have we got running off here? We've got the pH probe, Reef Factory, thermal control, Reef Factory. And then inside, obviously, we've got the roller mat in here, we've got the protein skimmer, we've got the UV sterilizer, we've got a little mini TMC reactor, some media, the return pump behind there, and the ATO blue light there. That's pretty much. Oh, and there's a little pump that goes on the UV sterilizer there. We've got cameras set up around for the ATO, for the sump, and one on the main display. And that's just to really keep an eye on everything. Down here, we've got all the chambers for the dosing. 3-part calcium, alkalinity, magnesium. We're running Red Sea No-Pox at the back, the pink one, and we've now added a CO2 scrubber to really get that pH up higher, which I've just recalibrated. Without the CO2 scrubber on, 8.28, something like this, 8.29. I put it on, it shot up, I think in the evenings around 8.3 something, and then it goes up to 8.4, 8.5 during the day. This is obviously spring, summertime coming up now in the UK, and all the windows are open in the flat, so I'm hoping this is the reason why. Big protein skimmer, lots of agitation in the main display. They're the things that you don't really get told about. Now, we're dosing 3-part, and then on top of this as well, I'm dosing manually by hand manganese for the gonoporas, which they apparently will need. Mine, I run an ICP test and it was 0, so I've been dosing this. And trace elements such as iodine and things like that. If you do again an ICP test, again you'll need to be dosing them. So you could use all for reef, which will have all these elements plus the minor and major trace elements. That might be a way around it. For me, I want to try this way, and I might even go down the Reef Factory elements. They've got a new 3-part system out. I might switch to them. At the moment, I'm using Aquaforest for the 2-part, which is alkalinity and calcium, and magnesium. I'm using a liquid. These were powder based that I mix, and this is a liquid because magnesium I'm not really using a lot of, so it lasts me forever. By Reef Flowers, and that's about it. But there's some of the things that I really didn't contemplate about trace elements. Now that I've run an ICP test, it's quite important. Phosphates and nitrates, if you're going to have coral, it's something to bear in mind that you're going to need those levels to be detected. This is debatable realistically, but I think nitrates between at least 5 and phosphates at least 0.02, 0.03. Personally, just to keep I noticed that my gonies and alves were being destroyed by 0 phosphates, which I've been battling for a long time now. I'm going to put this lens on so you can see. Now I've been dosing, and since then the alves, gonies are really pumping out, even these golf ball ones here. Let me just turn that off. So you can see this one was non-existent really, and it's really pumped out. The side of it there is a bit funny because I got some super glue by mistake when I was gluing these in. And this one as well is doing well. So we are cooking on, I think I'm on growth. They're starting to really pop on colour, and I really have to keep an eye on these. Some of these arms here are new here at the front, and at the tops there's new stems coming out, which shows me that obviously it's doing quite well. There is a major problem in here that's a lot of algae, and it looks a little bit brown and red, which believes me to be cyano. So I think I'm running into that problem again. Now I've got a bunch of critters in here, some turbo snails, astrazenas, some tuxedo urchin there. Got a new algae blenny lawnmower here, a jewel, I think he's called. Really cool fish. Apparently they go to town on algae. Hopefully he does his job. We'll see. Obviously the zoas, zoas are taking off like crazy. They are away from the main rock area. I put another part here that ripped off, and they're growing like mad as well. So I think everything is coming along. I'm just really conscious about this algae growing. But I think in a reef or in the sea, you always see algae. I think it's something that is in there, and some people that don't have it, I'm trying to figure out how they don't have it. And if you see back here how much now, so I know that flow is a big part, and I've pumped up the flow. We're running at 50% on the gyro, and we're running at full speed on and off on this other little pump to push flow, plus the return is at 50%. So we should be doing quite well, and I know that gonnies and albies don't like too much direct flow, so I'm trying to be careful of that as well. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. One thing came up on the ICP test, because not all good news, obviously. Most things were pretty well. Had some high levels of copper, so I'm running some media for that to absorb that, and high levels of aluminium. And I've seen online on lots of threads from Reef to Reef that some people are having the same issue. So it leads me to believe with aluminium, it's like a rusting of an impeller. I had one of the pumps that went on the Eheim 300 compact. I think even it was rusting or it just broke, so the impeller wasn't moving anymore, and then it came away from the shaft. So that was about a year old, so I've dumped that now. That's one thing. I may change out the glass heaters. They're quite known sometimes to leach or any problems. I may change for a titanium heater. And the other thing that I've been using on the top of the display, I don't think it would cause a problem, but let me know what you think. I'm using some clips. They're plastic, but they do have obviously metal elements here, and they are rusting. You see this? Now they're not in the water, they're just clipped on, make sure the cable doesn't come off. None of these have fallen in. I've only got the two, one here, and there's another one back here, and you see they're both rusted. I'm wondering if that is getting into the water stream somehow. Again, they're not touching the water column. You can see there, it's just holding it. And the metal only goes as far as the top part. So let me know in the comments what you think that the aluminium may be causing, where that's coming from. There's no steel frame or anything. It's on a basic, kind of setup. What do you think about the tank? Do you think the coral's looking pretty good? Do you think the colors are popping? I'm only using this lens, so you can see I take it off. They're still quite vibrant, but you put that on and obviously it shows what the actual colors are. So it's just a yellow lens. But as you can see this red-brown algae, and I'm a little bit worried. I'm doing weekly water changes at the moment. Phosphates are reading 0, and I am dosing that by hand. And I've just ordered a bunch more snails to combat the algae, whether they eat that or not. Let me know in the comments below. Positive feedback would be good. I know if it's not good news, just let me know what you think. And some of the pumps here, you can see there's some sort of reddy brown algae, so that again leads me to believe that it could be cyano coming in. Let me know what your thoughts are. Should I keep dosing night phosphates even though I'm reading 0? The highest reading I've got when it does come out on Hannah is 0.03, so I'm a little bit kind of shocked on what to do next. Sandbed and everything looks okay, there's no issues there. Siphoning every couple of weeks, and obviously water changes at the moment were every 2 weeks. I've stepped them up to once a week. But apart from that, everything seems to be doing quite well. Happy with the new addition with the fish. I think it's called the dual, more lawnmower Blenny. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Something to think about when you're setting up is cable management. Where you're going to put all the equipment? Are you going to put it on a board? Are you going to put it on the back wall? And then obviously trace elements. Something that really escaped me, and I'm only running LPS. I'm not running any SPS really. So let me know what your thoughts are. And thanks for watching.